Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
3, 2, 1, and we're back, and it is August the 20th, and this is your quiz. I know what it is.
43.
I think it's 44.
Might be 44. Hey, you've had more caffeine than I have today.
Oh, of course. I have a direct IV. I sleep with the IV of caffeine.
Yes, clearly.
So yes, this is day 43, or it might be day 44, on the road of our, it'll probably end up being a 61 or 2 or 3 day tour. And we are in the midst of packing up and leaving Laguna Beach. We'll miss Laguna, that is for sure. Mm-hmm. And we are headed to Las Vegas. We're just doing an overnight in Vegas. I know there's some of you that we're going to be meeting with at the hotel that we're going to be staying at. And then we are pushing forward to a whole bunch of places that are undetermined. But I do know we're going to end up in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yes.
And in Des Moines, Iowa, we are meeting with a really great group of agents. And we're just incredibly excited. A lot of these agents we've known for a very long time as coaching clients. A lot of them are part of our EXP group now, and it's going to be really fantastic seeing all of you in Des Moines, Iowa. So we are headed your way, and then after that, we're probably going to have some other stops that we will announce, and then Columbus, Ohio, where we'll be for 3 or 4 days, maybe 2 or 3 days, and then down to Murphy, North Carolina, then to Atlanta, and then we are leaving back to Puerto Rico. So that will be the conclusion of our U.S. tour, and I have to say this has been one of the best things we've ever done. I'll even go as far as to say personally. This is one of the best things we've ever done personally and professionally, but I think that the changes that we'll feel emotionally and mentally will not really take hold until we're back in Puerto Rico thinking about what a crazy trip we just did.
That's always is how it is after a big trip, where you go back and you kind of digest and remember and look back. So we encourage all of you guys to do something similar. It doesn't have to be for as long, but certainly get out of your own 3-foot world for a little bit. Mix it up, expose yourself to different things that maybe you don't know a lot about. Maybe go visit a town that maybe it only takes you an hour to drive there, but you spend a long weekend there and you learn something new. So expand your horizons. We certainly are.
And the thing that this tour has done more than anything, I mean, obviously from a personal side of it, all the three of us spending a lot of time together has been fantastic. But the opportunity to meet with so many of you who have just been maybe names on a Facebook page, or voices on a call, or just we've only known you digitally. The difference between knowing you digitally, which is pretty good contact really nowadays, and knowing you personally and sitting down with you is just massive. And it's been very meaningful for Julie and I both to just run into some of you. Just yesterday it was a handful of people, and I'm sure today it'll be a handful of more people, and it's just incredible. And sometimes if we feel compelled, we'll sit down with somebody and we'll give them a little mastermind session or a little coaching session. Other times it's just gonna be a cup of coffee and how do you do, and everyone's on their way. And then the event we're doing in Iowa is gonna be for probably a rather large group. So yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. And to Julie's point, this is a really great anecdote for all the insanity that's happening in the world right now, that's trying to make you feel partisan or make you feel walled in, or Julie said, make you think you should stay in your little 5-foot world. When you get out and you actually meet other people, even if they are of different, faiths, even if they're different political leanings, and even if they're different, just whatever than you're going to realize that we are all incredibly blessed to be part of this amazing country, because there is an underlying feeling of being an American. And that's omnipresent in certain parts of the country and lesser so in others, that's for sure. But when Julie and I have traveled around the world prior to Zoe, we would not feel that. You'd go to Germany, and there was a German feel maybe, but it wasn't as strong as, say, for example, you would have felt if you were a Texan in Texas. And so we have, as a country, this underlying real emotional tie to something that we know in our hearts and our souls is special, and that's our country. And I'm just saying that because I think all of us need to be reminded of that, and maybe in some ways Julie and I need to be reminded of that as well. So we really are, really sort and sift any information that's given to us that would somehow lead us to believe that we aren't living in the best country on planet Earth at the best time to be humans. And we're all very fortunate, and I hope you feel that way as well. And if you don't, well, then the anecdote to that is learning how to be a listing agent. That was a crappy pivot.
Not a great pivot.
That was a great no.
But rounding back to Real Estate Coaching Radio, yes, here we are. continuing the 7-step listing process. We started this yesterday, making the point to you that the listing process doesn't have to be hit or miss, doesn't have to be, a patchwork quilt of downloading various free things from the internet and trying to throw those together and make it work. Doesn't have to be, and shouldn't be winging it. Some of you guys have survived a little while on your personalities and simply making people like you, but that runs its course at a certain point. And then usually you get surprised, and that's when people come to coaching and say, you know what, maybe I need to systematize this process a bit more. So I really have a lot more confidence going into those appointments that may or may not be the slam dunk you think it is.
But before you get to the next point, I want to give special credit to the gal we met yesterday, Sherry.
Yes.
So Sherry came to our hotel and we sat down with her, and she was one of the ones we felt compelled to actually have a real, I think, hopefully a beneficial to her coaching session. And so Julie and her had a pretty intense conversation about what actions she should be taking. But Sherry and people like Sherry are the future of the industry. She had a professional background prior to real estate. She was a new licensee, but she had lived long enough and experienced enough things to have a good barometer for what was fluff and what wasn't. And she wanted to essentially follow the Sherpa with the most experience up Everest, so she had the greatest chance of being successful. And she was willing to do the real work. And it's like, it was funny when Julie and I were talking with her, we started out by talking about centers of influence and past clients, but then she quickly told us, and I wasn't expecting this, totally surprised us. Oh, she goes, I've been door knocking expireds. And Julie and I are like, what?
All right.
How
Game
amazing.
on.
Normally we have to, manipulate, bribe, threaten people to actually do the real work of real estate. And when I heard that, that completely and totally made me excited for her future. Because if you're willing to do the real work, that means you're going to be willing to learn the skills, which means you're going to ultimately learn to be of service to other people, which is going to bring to you untold riches of, finances, obviously, but also of personal experiences and relationships. So I'm excited for her. I'm excited for all the rest of you that are hopefully on that mission. If you want to join our Premier Coaching Program, it's around $100 a month. It's very affordable. Just go to timandjulieharris.com and click on coaching, and then pull down the Premier tab and sign up. Or if you'd like, you can request a free coaching call and also receive a free copy of our book, Real Estate Treasure Map. Just text the word success to 47372. Text the word success to 47372. When you do, we'll send you a link that you can download to read the Real Estate Treasure Map, which is your fill-in-the-blank business and life plan. And then it'll also entitle you to a free coaching call with one of our new member coaches. They're going to help you get the treasure map completed, and they'll also answer any questions you might have about joining our Premier Coaching Program. So, Julie, what point are we on?
We are on to talking about pre-qualifying for motivation and time frame. So 2.5 points here. Most importantly, pre-qualify using a pre-qualification script. Of course, our coaching members know what we're talking about. We have pre-qualification scripts, which are basically it's a questionnaire. It's a series of questions trying to drill down on time frame, motivation, etc. But pre-qualify 100% of the time, both buyer and seller leads. It doesn't matter how the lead came to you. It doesn't matter how you know them or don't know them. Just pre-qualify people 100% of the time. I don't care if it's your mom's house. You've got to ask the salient questions. Okay, so always know, for example, this is certainly not the entire pre-qualification script, but for example, the seller's time frame, their motivation. Are they buying as well? And that by itself, especially in today's market, gives you different strategies if they're going to buy first, sell first, all of those different options. We've done entire podcasts about how to position that. Are they speaking with other agents? And if so, how many, who, and how did they decide upon those names?
But here's the thing that you got to understand. Julie's just giving you some highlights of the pre-qual script. But really the pre-qual script, our script, is a conversation outline. And you're not just peppering them with questions like they're applying for, a job or something, right?
No, it's conversation.
It's a conversation outline. And what we've done is we have a pre-qual script it's literally like if you're reading, if you're an actor out here in LA and you're reading a script. But what we do is we leave blanks where you put in their answers. Like, I assume, because this is on the buyer pre-qual script by, just for reference, I assume because you're speaking with me directly I assume because we're speaking directly, you're not talking with any other agents. That's a good question to figure out whether or not they're working with any agents, and they'll tell you if they are. The other script that we gave you yesterday, when you get a new buyer lead or somebody that shows up as a buyer lead, by the way, which home in that neighborhood are you thinking about selling? And you have to ask these questions at the right place at the right time, and then you're going to get the right answers. Because remember, guys, in essence, a lead has no value. A lead has no value. A pre-qualified, motivated lead has value. So some of you take pride in these massive databases full of leads, and you're hoping that somehow magically the pre-qualified, motivated leads are going to bubble up to the top, and those are going to be your deals. That's one of the great lies of real estate. It doesn't work like that. Now, if you do have a massive database and you call using our pre-qual script, and you sort out which ones are good and which ones are true leads and are going to be transacting with you in, say, the next 30 to 180 days, those are the ones you want to really focus on. But the ones other than that, all they are is a name on a piece of paper or a name in a database. They have no value. So stop taking pride and stop being, thinking that you're building some kind of financial future just because you got a big database. You're not. You're just building a big database.
That's right. And in fact, contacts, you're talking about leads. Leads are just, a list of names and maybe even phone numbers in your, in your database. But contacts can have no value as well if they're not done right. One of our friends.
Well, they don't know what a contact is.
Well,
a contact is a conversation with a decision-making adult. And what Julie is saying, contacts
about real estate.
About real estate, right. Now, again, you don't have to be a super slick greaseball salesperson that you guys are all living in fear of ever being perceived as. You can just have a normal conversation, again, using our conversation outlines. And in some cases, all you have to do is end the conversation with, oh, by the way, Julie, who do you know who's thinking about buying or selling real estate that I should be helping in this market?
That's right. Exactly. So calling and leaving a message, hey, I'm just following up. How's it going? That's not a contact. That is valueless. Appointments have value, and certainly the taken listing or buyer contract has value.
That actually goes to their egos and being fearful of being perceived as salespeople,
yes,
which is in conflict with how their prospective clients want to actually perceive them. So they're afraid to be seen as a pushy salesperson, but the reality of it is that if you don't seem, a professional asks for a sale, a professional asks to help you, a professional asks questions in a professional way. That's what we teach you to do in our coaching program. And so if you're dealing with somebody and you're just being a flibberty gibbet agent and you're not ever actually bringing up real estate for fear that they're going to think something ill of you, in other words, your ego is run amok and you're just essentially a big wash of mixed emotions. You're a real estate agent, you want to sell real estate, but you're afraid to ask them questions that can result in you selling real estate. Guys, that's insane, because what they're doing is they're looking for somebody that's going to essentially be a professional. If it's you, you're going to have to let them know that you're here to help them. And if you do not overtly tell them that you're here to help them, they will not hire you, because they will not think that you're successful, or rather not even successful, but that you're not professional when it comes to selling real estate. Do you guys get it?
Somebody that is serious about buying or selling. In other words, the potential clients that all of you want, someone who
the motivated
ones, actually going to transact soon and with you, they expect you to ask for that business. And we often use the example of, imagine yourself, last time you were highly motivated to go do something. Let's say that you wanted to go buy a new iPhone, and you walk into the store and, the salesperson's kind of piddling around. Maybe they say, hi, how's it going? They greet you. But they leave you to go sort it out and read all of the different, bullet points and kind of sell yourself.
Or talk to you about your dog, which is, talk. In other words, they're not actually there to.
They're not selling you anything.
Their objective, your objective was to buy an iPhone. Their objective, because they were worried that you'd perceive them as a pushy iPhone salesperson, was to protect their own ego and how you might perceive them. Guys, do you realize how insane all this is?
Right. And so what do? You walk out of that store and you go somewhere else.
Exactly. And you buy the iPhone from somebody else who actually asked when you walked into the store, do you want to buy an iPhone today?
Exactly.
Do you guys get the difference?
Don't be weird about this, guys.
Right. Stop being secret agents, right? Stop being somebody that you're hoping and praying that somehow magically, after you've dropped off enough forget-me-not seeds, the people are magically going to say, oh, you know what, Bob? I remember last April, he gave me some forget-me-not seeds. He's my guy to list my house. That is not how the world works, guys. What they're going to do is they're going to say, who do we know who's the most competent, skilled, professional salesperson? Maybe not the even word salesperson, sales professional, real estate agent that we can list our house with.
Well, who's going to solve my problem fastest, most efficiently, with the least pain and stress to me?
That's it. And that's always going to be the person with the skills, not the person with the most TikToks, the most Twitter videos, not the person that's dropped off the most pumpkin pies. You're not going to guilt them or make them feel obligated just because you've been dropping off a bunch of junk to their houses or because you've been emailing them a bunch of junk. They're going to want to do business with you because they know you're the person that's going to get the job done. Julie has a little dental issue that she created for herself by over-flossing last night. And so one of her, I don't know what it is, filling cap, I don't know what.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Piece of tooth popped off.
Yeah. And so now she went on this morning, found out, we know where we're going, and she went to a dentist. We're going to go to a dentist in Vegas that's going to pop that thing back on and send her on her way. And it was basically, no frills.
Very professional.
Emergency dentist. Here's your appointment. Show up an hour ahead of time. Here's how much it's going to cost.
Well, but I called ahead of time to make sure I wasn't dealing with a lunatic dentist.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so she put me through a series of questions. What happened? What do you think it is? How long, do you have any pain? When will you be here? Call me ahead of time. And clearly she had done this script before.
It was a script.
And guess what? I was relieved that she was that professional because that prevented me from continuing to call and find somebody else.
Exactly. So because you were dealing with a professional that was going to urgently focus on solving your urgent problem,
yes,
which is what a motivated lead is.
Motivated.
Julie hired him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And hopefully by the end of the day, my problem will be resolved. Okay. So let's.
You mean at the end of the day when we're in Vegas?
Yes, exactly. Well, they're open till 9, fortunately.
Well,
all right.
Oh yeah, we're going to get there today.
Yes.
I
Hopefully navigation takes us there. All right. So let's circle back to the seller pre-qualification. We've been talking about you guys being a little too timid about, being an actual salesperson who is resolving issues. And part of that is indeed the pre-qualification script. For example, with sellers, one of the things you guys are so weird about is asking if they're talking to other agents. And I get this all the time, Tim. Agents will be like, well, I don't want to suggest that they do that. Do you think they don't know that there's other realtors in the world? Do you think that they haven't driven past all of the billboards on the side of the freeway and they don't golf with another agent?
It really is worse than that nowadays because the last really 15 years has all been about everyone that got into the business was all fed this steady stream of believing that they can do things passively, that it wasn't just from agents doing postcard marketing, and which in some markets really does work, but it wasn't just agents doing passive stuff that was trying to win all these sellers over as being in their centers of influence and past clients list. It was the tech companies doing the same thing. So you weren't just competing with other agents. You were competing with the big brands that are also trying to curate and cultivate these relationships with prospective sellers so they then could sell those leads back to you. So this is the reason why the most efficient, most frankly, financially successful agents, not just in the United States, in the world, are picking up the phone again. That's the reason they're going direct, because you will not win if you compete against the existing noise. You have to work on your SEO. Don't bother. The war has long since been won. You will never have a shot at getting on anything other than maybe page 3. Well, you got to build a bunch of YouTube videos. Same. You got to build a bunch of social networking stuff on Instagram. Same. The wars have been fought and lost and won
Ages
by
ago.
the winners, the victors. And that is not going to change. So if you want to win in the industry now, you have to be the person that's going to get to the prospect first, know what to ask, know how to ask the questions, be incredibly urgent with your lead follow-up, and incredibly professional with your approach. Because that is something that those other agents and frankly those other tech companies will never be able to match you on if you're the one calling them first, if you're the one solving their problem first, if you're one answering their questions first. You're always going to win. Furiously fast lead follow-up mixed with energy and enthusiasm, and then you can backfill with skill. You're going to win.
That's exactly it. So don't freak out that maybe they're talking to other agents. Don't you want to know that? That's part of our pre-qualification questionnaire for sellers. It makes a difference how you present if you find out that the other agent is maybe the agent that sold them the house. And then you look that person up and it seems that they're not really a listing agent. They're just a buyer's agent. Wouldn't you want to know that going into an appointment? Maybe the other person they're talking to is one of these instant offer companies. That would be valuable to know ahead of time, especially if you're an EXP agent, so you can use your express offers to compete.
And the main reason, and we do prescribe this to all of our coaching clients, is you want to try to be the last person that they interview, but you also want to be the agent that gets them the pre-listing pack prior to going on the interview. If you get the pre-listing pack to their door ASAP, the pre-listing pack is going to pre-sell them on hiring you. And then what you do is you call them and you confirm your appointment, and then they'll tell you that they have other appointments. It's all part of our process, 7-step listing process. They'll tell you that they have other appointments because you will ask, say, Mr. Seller, please, I would like to meet with you last. And this you can do iterations in this script. It doesn't really matter because this is just designed to make them laugh. But say, Mr. Seller, I want you to swear on a stack of Bibles or Qurans or whatever's appropriate in your market, right? That you will not list with any other agents until we have an opportunity to meet. And then you can change that. But the point is you have to get them to verbally commit. They will not list with anybody else until they meet with you. You want them to meet with the other agents because the pre-listing pack that you're going to get as a part of being a Premier Coaching client, it includes some absolute knockout, Floyd Mayweather, 1-2 and done. He won the fight. PLP, overcoming objections the sellers might have. But the other thing that we include and we give to you are 20 really tough questions that we want the seller to ask the other agents that they're interviewing when trying to decide between you and the other agent. In other words, we give them the questions that they should be asking the other agents that they're meeting with prior to meeting with you. And on the interview questions are not only the interview questions, but are what your answers should be. And we've done all this for you. So the seller is going to sit in front of this prospective agent, and they're going to ask, and the questions go from easy questions to hard questions. And you will see when you get to the house, the seller will probably have the questionnaire sitting out from having met with the other agents. And you will see very rarely does the seller get much beyond question number 4 because they'll quickly realize that the agent is winging it. So like the first question might be, hey, Bob, what's your list to sell price ratio? And then the answer will be underneath it. The list to sell price ratio in the Columbus, Ohio Board of Realtors is currently 97.4%.
Well, that would be your answer. You've already put it in there.
And then it'll say, Tim and Julie's list to sell price ratio is 99.1%. So what would an extra 2 or 3% mean to you? So when they ask Bob that question, hey, Bob, what's your list to sell price ratio? And Bob throws out a number because he doesn't know, or he throws out some crazy number, the seller's then going to look at, Bob probably doesn't even know what let's sell price ratio is, let's just be honest.
That's true.
But the seller's going to quickly see that Bob might present himself as one thing, but what he really is or something else, skills based. And the questions even get more aggressive. And the point is for the seller to be able to discern a true professional versus somebody who's just, like most agents, unfortunately, are just basically showing up and hoping that to win the listing based on their prior relationship or their personality.
Yes. Okay. So you just kind of introed the next point, which we'll get into. Send the pre-listing package. Everything that you just presented is part of the pre-listing package. Now, here's the thing. Why do seller prospects ask you to reduce your commission? Why do they go with the agent who gives them the highest price? It's because they don't know what actually matters. For example, the list to sell price ratio. If you're averaging 99% of list price and your market is averaging even 96% of the list price, well, you've just shown them why you are worth your commission, haven't you? But sellers don't know what list to sell price ratio is until you explain it through your pre-listing package, and then it makes a lot of sense to them,
Well,
and they may not even ask you about your commission.
The pre-listing pack. So how do we create this pre-listing pack? True story. Mm-hmm. So Julie and I, when we sold real estate, we're going on so many listing appointments every day that it was getting to the point where we just couldn't do it. We were working a large area. We would typically go on 2 and sometimes 3 appointments a day. And a lot of our best systems came from the absolute grind of having to go on that many listing appointments. Some of our top producing coaching clients are experiencing the same thing. And so we came to the conclusion that we needed to hire someone to start going on listing appointments for us so we could start, because we were booking people 2 and 3 days out. And that's a great way to lose the listing if you're having to push the appointment that far out. We're breaking our own rule, which is furiously fast lead follow-up. We were actually setting ourselves up to lose because all the other listing agent had to say was, oh, Tim and Julie are too busy. Look how you called them, and 3 or 4 days later they show up. So we were losing because we were successful. So we had to hire someone to go on appointments with us. The gal we hired was this really sweet gal named Lisa. And Lisa had some prior selling experience, but not really. And so we had to make for her a pre-listing pack that was going to essentially make it so all she had to do is show up and have what was in essence a paperwork appointment. Tour the house, follow our listing presentation, review the MLS, get the paperwork signed, and leave. And we honed it, we revised it, we changed it. When she said, Tim, this worked, this didn't work, we changed it, we revised it. And then here's what started happening. She started, and Julie and I were using the same pre-listing pack, right? We started showing up to the listing appointment, and the sellers would, you guys are going to think we're making this up, but we are not. The sellers would have already signed the listing paperwork, already have interviewed the other agents. The entire pre-listing pack made it so that we didn't even have to go in the house. And I remember 2 or 3 occasions where the seller, we'd knock on the door thinking we were going to go in there and do our cat and monkey show. And the seller basically opened the door, gave us the listing paperwork and said, when are you going to send your photographer by? Because they knew that's what the process was. We didn't need to see the house.
It was a done deal.
It was a done deal. That's the power of a pre-listing pack.
And that's also the professional way to go about things,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, wouldn't it freak you out if you went to the doctor or the dentist and they just like kind of had a conversation with you and said, you know, hope everything works out. I'll follow up with you in a couple days. Versus what do? You walk in, they check you in. You have to sign what time you came in. They hand you a clipboard. It's got a list of questions. What's your insurance? What's your this? What's your that? You have to check a bunch of agreements, and then you wait. Then they see you. Then you see the nurse first. She asks you a bunch of questions, and then you get to see the doctor. It is a professional sequence of events and questions versus what do most agents do? They wing it, and they hope, you hope that the prospect likes you. That's not predictable.
But the reason a lot of agents, though they don't consciously realize this, but when we say it, that they then consciously realize it, the reason most agents are fearful of becoming listing agents is because they know that they lack the experience that comes from having sales skills. So sales skills will get you experience, but it is sales skills. Those are the words, right? So you're fearful of hearing commission objections. You're fearful of hearing questions like, why should I list with you versus somebody else? That's the reason that you have the pre-listing pack, because the pre-listing pack has things in there about commission, has a whole explanation of commission, has an whole, your easy exit listing, your communications guarantee, what you're going to do to market the house, what you're going to do to every single aspect of what is most important to those sellers based on not just our experience selling real estate, but it's been changed and evolved over the decades with all of our coaching clients to make it better and better and better. In some markets like Ben Salem out in LA, he will take the pre-listing pack and he makes it super high end. He actually had one listing appointment he went on where he had, guys, I'm not making this up. He had thin veneer wood that, I don't know how to describe it. It was a very, very thinly sliced wood, and then he had the pre-listing pack content engraved on the piece of wood. Then you'd flip the page, and then there would be metal that was etched with it, because he was trying to get some big builder's business and blow him away. And the builder had used all these natural products, and when Ben had toured the house, the builder was saying, oh, this is this kind of wood, this is this kind of wood. So Ben went and found the kind of wood that this guy had in the house, made it into a pre-listing pack, took our content, put it in those things, and of course he got the listings.
That's pretty cool, though.
It was very creative.
That's a great example of using the same content but personalizing it, which you guys can all do. So if you're a Premier Coaching member, this is easy for you. We actually have somebody that helps you with this.
All right, so next stop, Las Vegas. If you guys need to get hold of us or want an update on our travels, please visit us on Instagram. It's Tim and Julie Harris on Instagram, Tim and Julie Harris. If you want to text us directly, it's 512-758-0206, 512-758-0206. And remember, if you're ready to join the Premier Coaching Program, just text the word success to 47372. Text the word success to 47372. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow. Remember, you can listen to any of our thousands of past podcasts that are available on every major, everywhere, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, everywhere. And thank you for continuing to make this the number one listened to daily podcast for real estate agents in at least the United States and at least 61 different countries. You guys have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.